questions on the Woodsman Course packing list. So what I wanted to do here tonight was kind of lay out what I'm going to work with during the week-long course up here at the Woodsman School. So again, it's a week-long, Saturday to Saturday. I have the list printed out right in front of me that the students get upon their order for the course or seat at the course. Just so I don't miss anything, and I'm going to run right down it so you guys get a feel for, you know, what they're allowed to bring and so forth. So first off, I'm going to try this a little bit different, bearing in mind that this is the first time that we've run this course here at the Woodsman School. So it's going to be a learning curve for me as well as the students, I'm sure. But I'm opting to do this in 18th century fashion as much as possible. Now, I don't have everything period correct. I don't have everything 18th century, so to speak. Some of it's going to have to be modern just because I don't have everything, you know, in an 18th century fashion. But I'm going to do my best, and as we run through it, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's not that way for the students. They have a packing list, and they can pick whatever they want, you know, according to that packing list. So again, we'll run through that right now. I'll show you guys what I plan on bringing and how I'm going to do it. And again, spell it right out to you on what they're allowed to bring. Stay tuned. Alright, so running right from the top here. First thing on the list is a cutting tool. And you're allowed one of your choosing. So one knife and that's it. One axe and that's it. One saw and that's it. Again, only one item. And whatever it is that you want to carry. So for me, I'm choosing my knife. This is a Jeff White, you know, reproduction, so to speak. Very typical of the 18th century butcher style knife. So that's my choice. It's weather up here. It's getting pretty cool. They're talking for the week. The first 2 days of the class is supposed to rain. 70% chance on Saturday, and you know, pretty much 100% on Sunday. And then the rest of the week they're talking highs around 60, lows around 40-ish. So it gets cool at night. But knowing where I'm going to be, obviously it's on my property, and I know I'm not going to need an axe or a saw, even if it gets cold, because I have plenty of wood for fire and stuff like that. So that's my choice. Second item is a tarp. So underneath all the stuff you see here, I have my oilskin tarp. It's an 8x8, pretty typical 18th century, so that's what I'm rolling with. After that, it says wool blanket, and you can bring two if you so choose. So again, not all my stuff's period correct because I don't have it all yet, but my main sleeping wool blanket is the queen size from the Pathfinder store, so that's what I'm going to use for that. Pretty nice blanket. I've used it, you know, quite a few times, and it hasn't done me wrong yet. My second choice is the old school Italian wool blanket. Again, I've slept out with that more times than I can call, and it's a little bit smaller than the main one that I'm using, so I can go ahead and use that, you know, as a match type coat or something like that, sitting by the fire at night if it gets cool and what have you. So those are my two wool blankets. Next on the list is a metal container. You're allowed two. So either a pot and a cup, a fry pan and a cup, or a fry pan and a pot, or any variation thereof. So my two choices for that is from my 5-piece tinware set. I've got my boiler here, so I can boil more than a cup of water. Definitely not 32 ounces, but I can boil my water. I can cook a small stew or something like that in this. And then my brass kettle, which is about 2 quarts. So those are my two metal containers. After that, we have a fire starting implement. Alright, so from what I've recently learned, I have my tobacco tin, which has a magnifying lens on the top of it, which holds typically my blanket pin, which is out on the blanket right now, but it's my fire kit of sorts. It's my flint and steel kit basically, and it's got some lamp wick in there. And that goes in my fire kit. I just have it out so you can see it. This is my fire kit. Just a leather fire kit that I think I made in a video, sewed it up and all that stuff. And pretty much as of now, it's just got, you know, tinder and some fat wood in it. Next is 200 feet of cordage. Again, this is up to the student. They can bring 200 feet of bank line, 200 feet of paracord, 200 foot of rope, a mix match variation thereof, whatever they want. This is kind of where I don't really have much. I'm trying to stay 18th century if possible, but to be quite honest with you, over time I always have bank line and paracord with me, but I never seem to use it, maybe other than a ridge line for my tarp. But because I don't have something that was used back then, I'm going to try to make it during the course, natural cordage, and I think I can get by with a tarp setup without it. So I'm going to try that out, you know, and see how it works for me. But just to say, I do have, I think it's a 50-foot roll of artificial sinew. That's part of my sewing kit, and we'll get to that. So that's cordage. Next is a headlamp. I don't remember too many 18th century folk running around with a headlamp, but I have one here just so you can see it. I'm probably not going to use mine. I will have it, but I probably won't use that unless it's an emergency, or, you know, we get wild game, it has to be tracked at night or something like that. Is probably the only time I'll use this. I'll try to do without, you know, a side of that. Next is a compass. Again, not period correct, but I don't need a Kaminga or a Sunto or anything like that, so I just have a little button compass. This happens to be a True North, a little brass compass. General direction, that's pretty much all I need, if that. The next is a pack to put your items in, to include one other carrying type device. So I'm allowing, you know, a backpack of their choosing, and or a haversack or some sort of belt pouch. So I'm not quite ready there yet. And instead of trying to shoot videos for you guys on sewing with the limited time I have, because it's, you know, danger close here, the course starts this Saturday and it's already Tuesday night. So this is my piece of leather that I'm going to make a knapsack out of, 2 shoulder strap, you know, small type knapsack. So that's a project I still have to do prior to Saturday. So that's going to be my main carry as far as a backpack goes, and pretty much all that's going to entail is some foodstuffs, my 2 metal containers, and some spices probably, and that's about it. Aside of that is the belt pouch right next to it. This was made by me by Pat G, I'm going to call him so I don't jack up his name, but this is a really nice belt pouch. All leather, it's got a lot of bone attachments with it, buttons and so forth, drawstrings, so that's fairly nice. It's something they could have constructed in the 18th century, so I'm going to go ahead and rock that. And that holds usually my compass and my sewing kit, and my my fire kit, the tin here, if I don't put it in this kit. So I can stuff this one with tinder and keep it in my pack, and then throw my immediate fire kit in my belt pouch, and I'm good there. So that can go either way there. So that's packs. The next is actually optional. They're allowed to bring 2 leg hold traps and 2 conibear traps. For me, you know, it's probably long spring at that point. I don't own any of those, so I don't have any traps out here for you guys to see. Really not sure, to be honest with you, what I'm going to personally do. A buddy of mine has some long springs, so I may borrow a couple of those from him and, you know, give him a couple of my traps if needs be. But, you know, we'll see how that goes. But they're allowed 2 leg holds and 2 conibears. After that, something to flavor their water. And I didn't put a limit on this, so what I'm going to carry is just some chocolate and some maple sugar. I can't get a hold of Muscovado sugar, which is, you know, pretty period correct, but either would be. So I have maple sugar and some chocolate, so I can do the boiled chocolate thing. After that is 2 pounds of your favorite Bannock mix, and that's it. As far as foodstuffs and spices, right here, yep, plastic baggie, not real period correct. It's going to end up going in this little food sack that I made on a video, but I got to mix some more of that up. This is not even close to being 2 pounds, so I'm going to make some more of that, put it in my food sack, and I'll be good to go there. After that, small container of seasoning, same thing. As far as period correct, I don't have anything yet. I still need, you know, a little salt horn or something like that. A little wooden container maybe with some cayenne or whatever I choose to carry at that point. But I just have a little 3 spice rack here. One of them's actually empty. I have garlic, sugar, pepper, salt, and some cinnamon. So that's what I'm going to have as far as spices go. After that, 1 roll of toilet paper. A lot of people forget that. I'm allowing that, and or baby wipes, you know, whichever you prefer. And yes, I can go out back and go look around and scrounge up some mullein, or mullein rather. I'm not going to do that. This is probably what I'm going to use. So 1 roll of toilet paper. 1 Hunter orange hat. I don't have yet. Well, I have many of them, not a period one, so I'm getting from Boggins for Noggins, my buddy Chris Putnam and his mom. They do a really good job with the wool knit hats. I have a brown one here, which we'll get to in a minute, but I'm going to have an orange one just because we're out there. It is hunting season, so that's a mandatory item. After that, it's extra clothing. And I didn't put a limit on that. They're allowed to bring as much clothing as they want, as long as they can pack it. So all of my stuff obviously is going to be rolled up in my bedroll with my tarp and stuff. So what I have is what I'm wearing. Obviously my hat, some type of shirt here. This is just a work shirt, Osnaburg. I'm going to use a loincloth, which I have on, some leggings, and some moccasins. So aside of that, I have an extra pair of moccasins. I'll have some extra leather for patching if needs be, if I need to do repairs and stuff like that. I have a large hunting shirt that I can throw on if it gets, you know, a little bit colder. I have a spare work shirt. I have wool leggings for when it gets cool. And then the wool knit cap. The only other thing that I have to do still, and again, I don't want to do a bunch of sewing stuff for you guys, I'm limited in time and stuff like that, but I'm going to do a wool loincloth as well, and that's going to pretty much round out my clothing. So that's the packing list. All this other stuff you see up here on the top of the blanket, pretty much just eye candy. Some 18th century stuff I have, but I'm not using any of that. So that's pretty much it for the folks that asked to see the pack out for the Woodsman course. Like I said, we ran through it. The students are allowed to bring whatever they want per the items we just talked about. I'm just choosing to do it in an 18th century
So the only other
fashion. 2 things that I have here that I didn't really talk about was obviously a tump line to carry my bedroll and such. And then my awl, which is period correct. So I appreciate your views, comments, and support as always, and we'll see you soon with another one.